All right. Okay. Okay, hi everyone. I can see people are joining. I haven't noticed that we are live.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time today. We will comment in a second.
So while we're waiting for everyone else to join in, it's going to launch a little poll here, and this is just to kind of see what the demographic is for today's attendees, and we can kind of go from there as well. We'll be doing polls throughout the webinar today as well, so we'll be sharing the results as they come along.
I don't know if when you do the poll you see the result or not, but it's interesting to see that there is lots of finance people join. Like 63% at the moment is finance and 17% operations. That's good. So it's a finance dominant audience today. And guys, I don't know if you can chat or if you can ask question. Can you please try and make sure that that's open for you? Thank you, Michelle. Okay, so Q&A is open. So while I'm doing this, there are some slides I'm gonna present, but you can do basically ask your questions or engage with us. On the call, we have Ricky and we have Ben. So they are helping me to answer the questions and just make sure that if you need any information, they provide it to you. So I leave it to you, Ricky, to basically start.
Yeah, awesome. Well, look, first off, everyone, really appreciate you taking the time out to join us in our session today. So today's session, we're going to be going on a webinar on navigating the PACE transition. So we're super excited to be hosting this and to have Amir, the founder of Quickclaim, with us today. So before starting Quickclaim, Amir was working in the NDIS sector for over a decade, mainly around the data analytics side of things. So Amir is not just an expert when it comes to data, he's also a part of the NDIS Digital Committee of Interest and serves as a digital partner to the NDIA. So he's going to be sharing some valuable insights into the PACE transition. So for those who don't really know much about Quickclaim, we're a cloud-based claims and billing automation platform. And what we do is we help save service providers time and money when it comes to this long drawn out claiming and reconciliation process as well. Now, the NDIS sector is constantly evolving and staying up to date is going to be very crucial for everyone. So that's why we're thrilled to have Amir here to bring us the latest insights on PACE and its impact on service providers. So what we're going to be doing is we want this to be an interactive session. So we will be throwing out polls throughout this, but definitely don't hesitate, throw questions at us. Let's make the most out of this opportunity and really try to expand our knowledge together. So without further ado, I'll hand it off to Amir and take it from here.
All right, thanks, Ricky, for the kind words. So let's start. I see that still people are joining, but let's not wait because we are already 5 minutes in. So what we want to do today, I'll give you a bit of an agenda of today. We're going to go a quick review of what is PACE. Everyone knows what's PACE, just a quick introduction. We want to understand what's changing and what's staying the same. But more importantly, we want to go to some of the implications and how we want to tackle those basically challenges. And I want to talk about an enhancement that NDIS introduced and you can use, which is helping for PACE. And then a little bit about, at the last 10 minutes, a little bit about Quickclaim and how we can help for this PACE rollout and PACE changes. So yeah, PACE is now live after many months of discussion and uncertainty and doubt that is it going to go live or not. As you know, NDIS released PACE on 1st of this month. So now almost few of our customers, larger customers, already shared with us that the PACE, they got PACE participant for 2 or 3 PACE participants each. So we see that this every day there's a little bit of PACE participants joining the basically this system. So before I start to go through the basically slides, there are a few links that are very important, and I thought to share those. You don't need to keep a note. We will share this slide with you, and we share the video of this conference with you as well. But one of the important release notes or basically news about NDIS was the news that was in provider newsletter 30th of October. If you haven't read this, make sure you read this. It has lots of information and there are slight changes in some area. I will mention some of them in today, but this is it's a short but important release that I think make sure to read that. If you don't know, there is a website that NDIS created for providers and it's around PACE. So there's lots of all the basically documents that you've seen in the different events and slides and stuff. They're all, most of them are in here in this website. So it's a good place to start. And we also put together a knowledge base for our customers, which is open for everyone to access. In this one, again, we have some of those documents shared, but more importantly, we want to have some practical solution or cheat sheets that everyone is using and share within our community, which you are more than welcome to use as well. And if you are not following NDI's Twitter channel, it's really have a good updates, good cadence of updates. So definitely make sure to check that. Okay, let's go to the PACE. So what to expect in short term? One important thing is it will take time for this to fully roll out. So it's a gradual, basically, rollout. Well, how to minimize disruption is a big question because it is going to be disruption and it is a big change. But we just want to discuss together how can we minimize that disruption or have some plan in place. We will, all of us, especially NDIS and this new Salesforce system, will go through lots of refinement. It's already started, so we see from the NDIS IT department that there are enhancement scheduled and release notes scheduled for even this month. So, and it's going to be lots of refinement, especially in the initial months. And the fact that there is a new provider portal, which I will touch in future slides, but what is that? And you probably know, but we will review. About the rollout plan, this is what NDIS shared with us for the first 3 months or for first 4 months. So for example, this month, the expectation is we get 4,000 plan in PACE compared to 60,000 plan overall. So it's going to be 7% for this month or 1% of NDIS participants going to be PACE. But you see this number is sort of going in a good pace, like in 3-4 months by March, we're going to be like 10% in. And from March, then it's become more aggressive rollout. So it's going to be like 18 months for basically 100% of people be PACE. So about how to access PACE or basically a new My NDIS provider portal, as you probably know, the access is from Proda, where you could have access to your MyPlace provider portal. Now there's a new one called My Provider Portal. Things like claim, remittance, advice, anything payment related for PACE and non-PACE stays in the MyPlace portal, in the legacy portal, but participants who move to PACE, you need to see their information in the new portal. What's changing in summary? There is a concept called My Providers. We'll discuss it together in a second. But the biggest change is there's going to be no service booking. And the biggest concern is around budget visibility and the fact that when there is no service booking, no money is locked. So how we want to make sure that to have the continuity of the service and stuff like that. So that's one of the biggest change and concerns, and one of the biggest area that needs attention as well. And then payment itself going to be a change of, there's not going to be a next day or 2 days payment. It used to be. For PACE, it can take up to 2 to 10 days. So it can have an impact on cash flow. So in this chart, what we are trying to say is there is a new concept introduced in PACE called provider type or role. So depending on the provider type or role, the level of information that's shared is different in Salesforce system. So if you are a general provider, basically you don't see that much. You need to become a My Provider, or what they call endorsed provider, to get more information. And this information at the moment is like information around like date of birth or some contact information, but doesn't have a budget or plan information. The reason I put a question mark in what happens with the consent. So if you are a general provider and you have a consent of your My Provider, basically My Provider, and have a consent, there is still, although NDIS cleared that there's not going to be access to the budget in the plan, but there's still a big conversation happening around agency managed part of the plan. And if that's the case, it needs to be a mechanism in place for general providers to make sure that there is money in each category and there is enough money left. So in our DCI committee, we are discussing different maybe APIs that can help to either check if the service is going to go through before delivering a service, or if actually, as a matter of fact, based on the regulation, based on the new act, it says that a provider should have access to the portion of the plan which is relevant to them. So for a general provider who is doing a registered provider who is doing agency services, that's sort of their right to know how much money left under the agencies, on agency bucket. Maybe not plan managed or self-managed bucket, but definitely agency bucket. But this visibility of budget is not a new challenge, because as you all know, before PACE, we recently seen a lot of transition to plan managed for participant. And as soon as a participant moves to a plan managed model, a provider lose the visibility over budget. And that's the communication between plan manager and provider or support coordinator to share that information, or participant himself or herself. But this is now become a challenge in PACE as well. So again, become more important, basically. That data sharing is becoming a more important function that's needed. But if you are a support coordinator or if you're a plan manager, you will see those plan budget information. And in the new release, it says that plan managers see everything. So it originally was plan manager can only see plan managed portion of the budget, but it seems that that's changed. But support coordinator from day one was everything self-managed, plan managed, or agency managed portion. All right, so what is the change in service booking? So as you know, there is no service booking, but the thing is, only no service booking for PACE participants. So you still have service booking for the legacy participant or the participant who is using the current plan. And this is going to be a case for another 18 months. So although it says there's no service booking, for the next 1.5 years, there's going to be a service booking and same challenge. But now you need to know which one is which, like which participant is service booking, which participant pays. So that is one of the things that we want to address today as well. This is a slide saying that service booking is set aside funding. So there is not going to be any set aside funding in PACE. If you are have a service booking with a participant at the transition time, by default you become the my provider for that category. Providers that link with existing service booking, that's the third point. What's the second point for person not to PACE? There will be no longer be required to. Yeah. So second point is saying that when you want to claim, you just claim. You don't need to have a service booking, or you can't have a service booking to claim. And service agreements are still recommended. And actually, it's more important to have those service agreements and visibility over budget of not just the agreement as the actual amount and sessions and hours that I agreed. And keeping record of that somewhere is now definitely important, because that's the only basically budget data that we can have after rolling to PACE. The other change is the payment, as we know. So payment for my provider is going to be faster, 2 to 3 days. But if you are not my provider, the payment can go up to 10 days. So because it needs a participant consent, and if participants don't give a consent, it needs to wait for a week before NDIS approve that. So that's why it can go up to 10 days. But this is not only a payment problem, it's also a reconciliation problem, which is, we're gonna address it in the next slide. So what does it mean, this implication for providers? So first thing is, no service booking means that the revenue is not locked. So that's one concern. So it will create uncertainty for cash flow for sure. But the second point around variable payment time, so one is timing, again, cash flow, but secondly is the reconciliation problem, because currently majority of service providers have a process of weekly, fortnightly, monthly claiming. And the process usually, some of the providers we've seen divided week to different days of, one day I do seal claiming, and the next day I reconcile, and the next day I do, I don't know, different services, or there's different basically process already in place in your organization to claim and reconcile. But reconciliation wasn't a huge challenge, because most of the time when it was a batch claiming that you have uploaded as a file the day before, the next day or the day after, when you get the remittance advice, you go and you could find basically almost all that money in the bank and reconcile the bank. And it was sort of a batch per batch reconciliation. But if we have variable payment times, and we can claim a batch like 100 transactions, and 80 of those transactions become either successful or an error, but 20 of those transactions stay under open status, you cannot reconcile them. Obviously, you need to wait, but the batch is partially ready, but that 20 some of them come back in 3 days, some of them in 7 days, and then the next day you do another batch. So it's become very hard to keep track of what money is belonging to where, although remittance advice is still available and you can go from there. But again, because source of data was used to be in Excel or most of the time, it's become hard. So it's definitely a challenge that we try to address. But also, it just brings us to the fact that it needs some change in our account receivable process. So if we were doing batch claiming, we should aim for having a real-time claiming. It's just too risky or to wait a month and then try to claim for a month back. And yes, it gives a better cadence and process if we do it more frequently. So here we have a poll that says, how often do you claim? Just if everyone answer this question, and again, we share this stat with all of you so that you know what's happening with everyone else. Oh, interesting. I wait a little bit for everyone to answer. So Ricky, when people submit the poll, can they see the result, or should I say the result?
No, they'll see the result once I end the poll, and then we'll share it and pop it on the screen as well. And at the end of this whole session as well, we will collect all the answers from all the polls, and we'll share that back with you as well.
Okay. All right, that's good. It's a still majority of you guys doing weekly claiming, and even 20%, around 20% daily claiming, which is awesome. We have real-time claiming, a little bit of 4% real-time claiming, which is fantastic. Few of you doing monthly claiming, so I think that needs a little bit of change. But that's overall, it's a good, like weekly, daily, real-time, our majority, which is good. Okay, so I'll let everyone finish the poll. I go to the next slide. What does it mean to do a real-time claiming? Actually, I move my slide here. Yeah. So real-time claiming, there are two things important, two main points in real-time claiming. One is the cadence of claiming. Obviously, you want to make it faster. So if you do fortnightly, you want to do weekly. If you do weekly, you want to do daily, or until you can do instant. Instant claiming, not always possible because there's usually larger service provider level of approval. Some staff doing something in CRM, they approve it. There is a management review. Sometimes finance review is also needed. So it's not easy to do instant claiming, but we try to provide a tool for you so that you can do that. Bank reconciliation is also needs some automation, because if you're doing this process as a manual in Excel, get the data, get the remittance advice, understand how much of the payment, bulk payment, reconcile which invoices. If you already have a manual steps, which probably you created your scripts and lookups and everything in Excel, but it's going to be very challenging in this pace. So you better to have a system that can journal automatically to make sure that system does the reconciliation, and you just monitor that. I will go back to this diagram that how Quickclaim can help different systems talk to each other. When I'm giving you how can we help. And the other challenge that the last basically implication or challenge that I want to address, as I mentioned earlier, is running two systems at the same time. It is just hard to navigate and know where to go for data, because sometimes hard to remember or identify who is paid, who is not. And initially is maybe, I don't know, less a problem because not that many PACE participants. But when you're going to half a participant with PACE and half non-PACE, it's going to be a challenge, because everything for payment is going to be, all the payments are in one portal, but our goals are across different, or contacts or other information are between the two sides shared. So if you can have a way of getting all of the data in one system, like in your CRM or in your finance, that's the ideal. All right, so from here, I want to go to a little bit of what to do or solutions, and what tools are available for you that can help to tackle these problems. One of the enhancements that NDIS released in 2021, and it's going really great, is NDIS API. So I don't want to go to the detail of like IT part of what the API is, or because it's an IT tool basically, but just mentioning that it is a tool that let your system to talk to product. So if you implement that, your CRM can get data or send data to product, or your finance system get remittance advice automatically, and you can then create those automation. So that's the second point, is it lets you to automate the claiming and reconciliation process. but also come with a live notification, which is really, really good, because before, like non-PACE or PACE, both of them, especially non-PACE, you want to know if a plan has changed. You want to know if a service booking ended by NDIS or by participant. You want to know all those events. And at the moment, NDIS share those events via API. So if you use that, you can get a live event. As soon as something happens, you know that something happened. These are the basically notification, one of the best part of API in NDIS space. It's another poll here. I just want to ask you, how many of you are aware what is NDIS API, which is asking you if you're using it or not as well. Oh, that's very, very promising. It's just like 25% of you already using it, which is awesome. So because lots of you using that, I share something with you definitely around in the email. I can share with you some of the API definitions and stuff, that there are new APIs that can help, and there is on notification there are changes that I definitely want to share with you, but we will do that maybe another session just for API. But I share some document in this with you. Okay, so that's good. So around half of you know what's API, more than half of you, and around 30% of you already using it, which is awesome. Okay, so the APIs are just listed here, that what is API, what's available in API. So you have an understanding of what you get if you use this toolbox. So for you that you are in a finance or operation team, you definitely want to bring your IT team involved to understand what is this API, how can you use it. So we put together a documentation for API as well. So it is called API-docs.quickclaim.io. We shared all the definition, like technical definition of APIs. You're more than happy to use this. It's a free, basically, page, publicly published page for APIs. But it has everything. You can understand PACE budget. You can understand if participant is PACE or not. You can process the payment, get remittance advice, get live notifications, even get the price changes automatically from API. So API is definitely a good tool. As Quickclaim is a licensed partner with NDIS, aggregated partner, what it means is if you want to use NDIS API, you have two options. One option is you directly contact NDIS and request access for your organization. It is a bit of a lengthy process. You need to do a cyber clearance, get a cyber clearance from NDIS, which takes some time, and you need to do some due diligence, technical due diligence. We can provide that to you. If you get it from us, we do the cyber part, and we provide you with a secure and compliant channel. You can get it immediately, because as soon as you onboard, like it's a one-day onboarding, you don't need to go through those process with NDIS. And we keep track of changes, and we update those changes when the versions change or the definition change. We keep it up to date, so you don't need to do that. So this is how we can help for API side. But we also created an enterprise software using the API called Quickclaim. So it has a web application. What it does is it connects to different sources. So it's already connected to Proda. It already knows PACE and basically SAP, which was the legacy system. It's already connected to those systems and can do all the data back and forth using the API channel. It connects to the finance system. Again, we have lots of integration in place, and it is majority of finance system in the sector we are connected to get the chart of accounts and understanding of chart of accounts and map it with the source of data, which can be your CRM system or rostering system. So it does all this connection to let you to automate the claiming and reconciliation process. So it is sort of a billing tool. It can read automatically, collect data automatically, do some validation, claim it or get some service booking budget data for you, do some check here, do some automatic journal or invoicing in finance, get some payments back, get some result back, write back result in the CRM. It is a tool for finance team. When customers that are using it, majority of the business don't know about that because they're using the current CRM or rostering system. And majority of finance team, except from account receivable and basically CFO and people who need the reporting, usually like account payable, for example, may not even know about that because it's just around the account receivable process. Some of the customer we have that are using the system already. So what are the point here? It gives you seamless integration with CRM and finance. It lets you CRM system and your finance system to actually reconcile, and then it's auditable. One of the biggest challenges we see is when people export file, import file, export file using systems, and some manipulation happens on the file, these two systems never match, and it's not auditable, and it's very hard, and then you don't have source of truth. So if there is a problem, you don't know if you rely on CRM data or finance data, or then you check NDIS, and that's also different. It also gives you visibility over pace, participant, and plan and budget. It connects with majority of CRM system as well, and also BI tools. As Ricky said, my background is data, so the first connector we created was a data warehouse for Tableau and Power BI, because you can easily then have visibility over all of this billing data, and you can create all those nice dashboards. We already have data warehouse. You can enhance your data warehouse with all this data coming from NDIS, so that you don't need to maintain those data points. But we also have more than this, but we also have a connector app. So when we see a new CRM or rostering system, we create the connector app on your behalf. So from here, I want to use 10 minutes to show you the system, and then 10 minutes to do the question and answer. Ricky, is everything good for me to go for the quick demo?
Yeah, I mean, it's good.
All right. So I prepared, this is our web app. We have, I'm just showing you some of that, like I don't have time to go through this, but it's just like in 10 minutes. When in a participant page, I can log in and I can get a list of all of my participants. When I click sync participant list, it does the sync with NDIS, and if there are new participants, it sync and complete my list. If a participant is paste, there is an API system check, and as soon as it understands someone moved to paste, it then put a flag here that's a paste participant. And if I hover over, it's showing me the enrollment date, so basically the date that Monica moved to paste. So in this case, Monica and Ross Keller moved to paste, and everyone else is still using the old system. It led me to add some information or map it to the CRM to get some of the information from CRM, like, for example, the CRM client ID, or if it's a location or program, or who is my recipient of my invoices, either a plan manager or a parent, for example. It works with multiple registration. If you have already multiple registration, you can add all of your registration in this system. So when you go to NDIS registration, if you add as many registration number as you have, then you get everything in one go, like in one application, all of those registrations. So that's basically what you get in this page. And when you click on a view plan, on test it won't work because it cannot really get anything for Monica Geller, but I put a print screen in live environment what happens. So in that case, for example, Jacob is a PACE NDIS participant. So when I click on the view plan, I can see that there are different plans for Jacob, and just recently from 9th of 11 moved to PACE, and this is the PACE plan. So I can see that data from here. There is What else I want to show you? There's a budget tab. In the budget tab, you can see the PACE budget, and you can see, and you can have a manual budget. So manual budget is important for you to have a source of truth for plan managed and for a self-managed, and for people that you don't have access to their budget. So it can, this module can get linked to your finance or CRM system if you're already keeping that data there, but then it can be used in the Tableau reporting and Power BI reporting, which I show you how it works. But if it's a PACE budget and you have access to that, like it's provided that those conditions, then you get the budget live from NDIS. So you know how much money left or how much money was allocated on for which person and what timing. So there are some filters on the page that you can, for example, filter for, I want to see only PACE budget, so I filter for PACE. Service booking tab, you use it for your non-PACE participant. It downloads all of your service booking, so it has a live connection to NDIS, and it gets all of your service booking data for you. So this, then here in one page, you can see how much money or left, how much money was allocated. You can even edit or amend the service booking. You can create a new service booking from here. And if it doesn't matter if you create it from here or from portal, these two systems are talking to each other. So this tab is sort of your budget from non-PACE, and the other tab is your budget for PACE. And the main part of the system is around automation of claiming and invoicing for agency plan and self-manage. So if it's an agency, for agency participant, because this system automatically collects data from your CRM system, and there are lots of validation steps in place. So if an NDIS number is missing or support item is missing, system will identify that and don't let it to go ahead and ask people to change it. It either send it back to CRM to get changed or let them to amend it in this system. And then as a finance person, I come to this page, I see, okay, everything is ready for claiming. It's $3 million. I haven't claimed for a long time, since 2020. It's 11,000 transactions I want to claim. I do my checks, Excel, blah, blah. You can download an Excel check or check it in here. You can do bulk operation. For example, I want to update a support item. I can select all of these lists and put a new support item in. So change it all in one go, change all the rate in one go, things that you usually do in Excel before you upload. And then, and you're happy, I can filter for someone and just claim for that person, or filter based on a date range and claim for that. Or maybe I just say I want to claim everything. This is it's 11,000 transaction, and I say yes. So system then understand that this transaction should go to different registration number. It needs different, basically, grouping, and all these transactions gets grouped and creates all those batch files and send it to the NDIS and get the response back and get the remittance back. So basically, you don't need to do nothing. You just click claim and let the system to track every single transaction for you. And that's the whole point of this system, basically, to track all the transactions and make sure they're all either claimed, or if it's a problem, tell you what's the problem. In this case, because I click on a large number of transactions, it may take a little while until it transfers everything to NDIS. So after it transfer, I see that there is nothing left in the ready to claim. So that's good. I'm happy day for me. And then I go to claim recovery to see if there is any bounce back.
I mean, just on timing as well, maybe we've only got 5 more minutes for this. So maybe just show the reconciliation piece and then the analytics, and then we can answer some of the questions as well.
Yeah, sure. Feel free to book a demo with us, and I go through the full system for you. But I just want to quickly show you that you get the errors here, all the errors from, doesn't matter which file or which batch, anything that's outstanding, I can see it here, and I can claim it from here. And then remittance advice coming here automatically, claims in error, claim successful, they're all in here. I can cancel a claim from here directly to Proda. I don't need to go cancel it from there, so I can click cancel claim from here, and it cancels on Proda and do the refund process. So if you set it up to finance, it does the credit note in finance for you. On analytics tab, we added Tableau to Quickclaim. So all those, you can use it internally as well. So if you're using Power BI or Tableau internally, you can use the data source that we have. But if you don't have this, you can use it in here. It gives you lots of option to filter your data, see your data, compare roster of care with actuals. It's showing me a comparison of my last 2 weeks claiming on different programs. I can see the detailed data. It shows me my budget data. So in this one, service booking, it's showing me the bigger this dot is, more money left in the service booking. But anything on this line, time and money are going hand in hand. So time left is 81%, money left 91%. So it's good, although there's lots of money left, but I have a lot of time to consume it. But all these dots, they are concerning, basically. These are the ones that's going slow. So for example, I don't know, this 30% of time left, and I haven't even touched this service booking. So I can drill into the data to see what is behind that. Or I can look at the underutilization in a chart view. So what is the money that I haven't utilized in the past months? And if I can click and see who is these people and why I didn't use this money, or look in the future, how much money left in the different service booking. I can see who are these people and make sure that I have a plan for them to utilize their money. So, and there are more reports. I have added some samples in this one, and I didn't have time to go through the plan manager invoice, plan manager and self-managed part and integration part, but I just stop in here to just go for some Q&A. Okay, back to you, Ricky.
So yeah, so we've got a few questions come through, some really good questions here. So first off, when it comes to PACE and the PACE participants, right? So we've got a question from Michelle where they've already had a case where one of the existing participants moved to PACE and they weren't automatically allocated to being a endorsed provider for them. Took about 3 weeks for them to get that sorted. So, you know, initially NDIS told us that as soon as they've transitioned, if you got a service booking with them, you're automatically allocated as an endorsed provider. Do you have any additional knowledge to that? Anything else?
So the policy is that, but as a technical challenges, definitely there are so many issues going around, like people that couldn't access, like clicking on the link and it's not working, and unfortunately, like it's a teasing issues, and you may need to do it like case by case, contact NDIS to solve that. The policy says that yes, if you are you have a service booking, you should be endorsed, but in this case, obviously, the system failed to do that.
Cool. Diana, I think I saw a raised hand there. Okay, so we've got some new questions as well. This one's from sorry, there's a few questions coming in live as well. So one's from Lisa. We have 2 participants on PACE at the moment. How many do we have before one-on-one training? Not entirely sure about that one. So one from Christelle is, so if there isn't an end date anymore, how will we be able to ensure that there's still funds available?
And so when you see the budget in PACE, there is still a start and end date for the budget. Even plan has a start and end date, but the idea is that should be like get extended or ongoing. The budget definitely have a start and end date, and in the plan it specifies how it gets rolled, but yeah, budget has expiry date basically, but it really doesn't mean that it's the difference is it's not like in service booking example, you could have locked that money, and if it passed, you go up to 90 days, go back and claim it. In PACE, it's not like that. It's just like it just basically roll over. And if the budget gonna get topped up, if you haven't used it, or I don't know about that, if the budget's going to get topped up or you're going to lose that money, or basically the idea behind PACE was that there's no concept of budget and you claim, and basically if you finish and you need to claim more, you need to wait for the top up and claim. But again, how the system does it, because currently the system is very similar to the previous one. There's a start and end date, and that budget after that date should get rolled. But what if it doesn't? And you probably can't access that. I don't know about the good answer to this. Like, too early to say what exactly is happening.
Okay. Another one here is in regards to the open charges that are waiting for approval. How and when do you know that the charge has been approved, and how do you get this claim back?
So there is a workflow. There is I share a link with you for process of claiming. So there is, NDIS already prepared the document explaining in a flow chart explaining the steps. But in a quick response is that when something is an open status, it can be open up to 10 days, and NDIS should either reject or approve that. So what happens is if participant don't, if you're not a my provider, which doesn't have auto consent, basically, NDIS wait for the participant to approve. If they don't approve, someone check that claim, and they can approve or reject that. And when they approve it once for one service for you, then the next time system will auto approve it. But it won't stay open forever. That's a system issue if it did.
Okay, and then in regards to the claiming for PACE participants via Proda at the moment, right? Since there's no service bookings, but for Proda claim processing via service bookings, so how does that work? So does Proda have to make a change whereby they identify a customer is PACE funded and not check back to the service booking?
Exactly correct. So even in API is similar. So when you send the data to NDIS via bulk claim, it can be mixture of PACE and non-PACE. System identifies that that's a PACE participant, so it won't check against the service booking. It just check against another budget module, basically equivalent of service booking, sort of, but you don't have access to change it or lock it, or but it won't get checked against service booking. Yeah.
Okay. So we had another question here, which is, can we have some validation on the no end date concept? Has this been confirmed with NDIS in any way, or is this an assumption? So I think you kind of touched on that by saying that it's a rolling plan. So there is technically an end date, but it's going to be continuously roll on. Is that the is that what's going to be happening?
If the budget gets topped up or not, I'm not sure. I even don't know what's the rule around that, but it is definitely rolling is in the plan. So for example, for a quarter, there is a budget. And again, the next quarter, you're going to see the same budget. So the budget going to get rolled, but is it going to get topped up or not? I don't know. So if you haven't used it for previously, it probably won't get topped up, and it's probably that's underutilization, basically, or that's gone, sort of.
Okay. I've got a question from Lisa. We have 2 participants on PACE at the moment. How many do we have to have for one-on-one training? So
from NDIS, I don't know that, Lisa. So it's probably a question for NDIS. I don't know if they do one-on-one training at all. So there are events that they booked for PACE, and on that page that I show you on the beginning, on the improvement page, underneath that page, there are events, and what NDIS is basically booked for PACE related events. But I don't know if there's going to be a one-to-one session.
Okay.
With NDIS.
Another one from Flynn. What accreditation does Quickclaim have in terms of FFR and ISO 27001?
That's right. So we definitely okay. So to be aggregated, you need to have NDIS cyber clearance. So that's more than the certificate itself. So we have ISO 27001, but on top of that, cyber clearance needs, like for example, I don't know, penetration testing. It needs other controls in place, and that gets reviewed regularly by NDIA. So we sort of ongoing discussion with security department. They may ask for new IRAP or other, like they're already discussing new, more basically compliance to be added for our systems, and we need to just follow and obey. But it is, the minimum is you need to have an ISO or IRAP or something equivalent set as a certification, and you need to, NDIS cyber team needs to give you approval. So do you need to go through a process with NDIA cyber team before they audit you, basically?
So a couple more. So Susan, regarding the questions about the end date, NDIA have now set that PACE participants will have a next review date instead of the end date, and will push out each time the plan and funding is renewed. So thanks for that, Susan.
Thank you.
Kyle, Kodemi, can you please spin through or quickly go through the cost of Quickclaim? Cheers. So yeah, so Kyle, we can definitely reach out to you about that and have a conversation around that as well. We've got Tetanyana. With analytics and Quickclaim, is this functionality available for NDIA managed only participants, or it covers everyone, including plan managed and self-managed?
So Tableau and the data warehouse source data from multiple sources. So it source data from CRM, it source data from finance system, and also from NDIS. So those data points that coming from NDIS, for if you are a registered provider and you're not a support coordinator and you're not a plan manager, you don't just get the agency managed budget and agency managed data coming through. But the Tableau itself gets plan managed, self-managed data and P&L data, balance sheet data. So it has more than just NDIS data, and it already mapped for your between the CRM and finance. So you can filter or have a view of a data based on CRM attributes, or based on NDIS attributes, or based on chart of account in finance, for example.
Perfect. Got one from Diana Richardsy. NDIS have confirmed that claiming for SIL, SDA, and PDS will be automatically rejected if not a My Provider, and My Provider status will not automatically be applied. At least for SIL, NDIS didn't note providers would be discussed at the participant meeting, and so far we have 2 SIL participants moving into PACE that have been allocated My Provider status.
Thanks, Diana. Definitely SIL, you have to, and SDA, you have to be My Provider. And I didn't know that if you are a SIL or SDA, you don't get auto My Provider flag. But definitely if you don't have it, you're right. If you don't have it, it won't work. So because there is no validation for that, and it has to be paid faster. So anything SIL and SDA, you are going to be My Provider.
And then we've got another one from Finn. Our organization relies heavily on forecasted funds in order to provide not only quality and adequate support, but also to continuously staffing adjustments across our large DES program. What accommodations are in place for providers to do this if budget and end dates are obscured?
Yes, absolutely correct. This is a very valid and very concerning comment and correct comment. At the moment, the NDIS initial messaging is that change of behavior and budget is not available, but NDIA itself knows about this. So we have a meeting in the DCI member they call DPO, Digital Partnership Office. And this is a question that's raised many times, and even DPO team is discussing with the PACE team that there needs to be a facility for agency managed provider to see the agency managed portion of the budget. I highly doubt that NDIS don't do anything about that, because it is a big concern. but also it wasn't complaint enough, I think, to NDIS, because honestly, when plan management, initial discussion, plan manager even couldn't see the agency managed portion or self-managed portion. A huge work from peak bodies happened, and lobbying and pushing and complaining, and until they get that. But they have a good peak body in plan management basically area. I don't know who is the peak body for agency managed and how can we push NDIS even more. So as a software company, for us, we see a huge problem if that data is not available. And we are echoing our customer message to the API team and to software team. But again, that's a decision that has to be made in NDIS. But it's an ongoing decision at the moment. That's why I put a question mark there, because I know that internally there are meetings happening around that, and maybe part of the enhancement that NDIS is working on in this year, hopefully.
And one more from Akil. If PACE does not show NDIS planned dates, what are the implications between the business and the participant?
NDIS saying that participants are responsible and to share the information with you. If the PACE plan exists and you don't have the data, if you do the claiming, obviously going through, if the data is, a budget is there. And if it's a problem, like you provide a service and basically there is no fund, but it was in the agreement, NDI is sort of still like manual claiming that they do. They need to pay, or they're going to pay, but it's going to be a manual process and discussion. It just makes it more important for providers to have the service agreement in place and to have budget basically recorded somewhere, so that either in CRM system or finance system, based on the agreement with the participant. Because at the end of the day, when there is an agreement in place, someone has to pay for that service based on the agreement. And I know the equation is not that simple, like I understand it. And I understand that NDIA is trying to simplify this situation, but currently that's the situation. So we need to have a mechanism to record budget somewhere. And that's why we added this budget module. We added the manual budget, because we know that's important to know the budget. How we get that data, hopefully soon from NDIS directly, but otherwise we have to collect that data ourselves.
Perfect. And last one, if the plan manager or the participant does not give us the plan dates, how do we keep track to know this information? What we do now is if they do not tell us, we go and check on product.
So yes, they have to now either tell you or participant need to tell you. I've heard from some provider that's going to be part of our service agreement that we have to be my provider for participant that we are delivering services, because otherwise we can't see the budget, or the plan should get shared with us, or I don't know, like support coordinators have that data. We are working on projects with another software company which works with support coordinators and understanding how they can share the data because they have access. But again, it's the consent is a big problem, like understanding what's the consent of sharing what data is a big problem. So currently NDIS should solve that issue. For the plan, you will see the plan. Just budget is the question. Sorry, plan date, you will see the plan, even if you're not endorsed provider. But it's the budget that you want to see. But you know that if the plan exists, and what's the end date for the plan. And if a participant is paid or not. That those APIs and those, even on portal, you should be able to see that because API is showing you.
Perfect. And lastly, comment from Diana, it is brilliant that Quickclaim shows planned dates for PACE clients, and it is incredibly helpful to be able to check our Quickclaim PACE clients against the new portal so we can check if we are missing my provider status. This is a brilliant value add. So thanks for that.
Thanks, Diana.
Awesome. And I think that's wraps it up. We just have enough time there. So we'll end the session here today. We will record, it has been recorded, so we will send across the recording and any other materials that we have as well. For the Q&A questions, stuff like that, we will collate that and we'll also send it out because there was some really good questions there from everyone. So we'll definitely be sending that across. So thank you all for taking time out today, and look forward to having another chat with you guys soon. Thanks.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day.